Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel. I'm switching it up a little bit this week. I'm starting a new series that I like to call Review Corner. And you might say, Logan, what is this Review Corner? Well, I'm going to tell you. Basically, I'm going to just review things. Shows, books, movies, documentaries. First thing that I want to review for this series is the Chris Watts documentary on Netflix. It just came out September 30th. It's called American Murder: The Family Next Door. They lived in a very suburban neighborhood in Colorado. Chris Watts, and there's Shanann Watts, Bella and Cece, who are probably the cutest children ever. And Shanann is also pregnant. So the documentary starts off on August 13th. Her friend drops her off at her house at 2 in the morning. And here's where we have our first glimpse at our everyday hero number one, Nicole Atkinson. This best friend is like friendship goals. She gets the best friend award of the century. She is exactly what you want in a best friend. So Nicole dropped Shanann off at 2 a.m. They just got back from a work trip to Arizona. Of course, being the great friend that she is, Nicole even waits until Shanann has opened the front door and is inside of her home before driving away. At 8:55 a.m., Nicole texts Shanann. She just dropped her off at her house 7 hours ago, and Nicole's spidey senses are going, and she already can tell that something is wrong. Can I just say, I have 0 people in my life that after 7 hours, they would be like, oh, where's Logan? And most of those hours were sleeping time hours. Like, people would just be like, oh, she's probably sleeping. It would probably take a good 2 to 3 days for anyone to come knocking for me. At 9:21. Typical Nicole. Shanann had a doctor's appointment at 9 a.m. So I'm assuming Nicole knew she would be up for that appointment. 11:46 a.m. Now, some of you might think, well, that friend's a little obsessive. No, because 1, Shanann is pregnant. 2, Shanann has lupus. She already has a lot of health issues going on. And in Arizona, Shanann wasn't eating normally, was very anxious, wasn't acting like herself. Nicole even finds out Shanann did not go to her doctor's appointment. Like, I don't know, but that police department should probably hire Nicole. She is an excellent detective. An officer shows up. So they go out onto the back porch, and this is another favorite everyday hero, the neighbor. The police officer's like, hey, have you seen your neighbors?
How you doing? You seen your neighbors today? No? Okay.
The neighbor's just immediately like, what? What's wrong? Something happening? Every moment of my life has led up to this point. All of my dreams have just come true. Chris finally shows up.
Guys, how you doing?
They go into the house. Chris is already acting a little strange. I know everyone processes trauma in a different way, but you can see Nicole's reactions versus Chris's reactions.
Does she work? Oh, no. Her medication's
Nicole is very anxious, visibly upset, and Chris seems to be doing that kind of thing where you're over-explaining to try to get out of a lie.
Got a car wreck. Typically doesn't happen, but if it tricks, there's such a thing for migraine. She took 4 antibiotics last month. She had 4 tests going on. It was busy. Everything like that. She was there for 6 weeks, and we got back.
going over all these details. Somehow that's going to make you look innocent, or somehow you're going to talk your way out of it. So after they find Shanann's phone, they find all the messages that were on it. Chris says at 7:40, if you take the kids somewhere, please let me know where they're at. 12 p.m. Can you call me, please? 1:19, there were 2 messages. I'm on my way home. Please be there. Where are you? Like, God dang it, Chris. Then he comes out of the bedroom and he's holding Shanann's wedding ring. He said he found it on the nightstand next to her side of the bed. That just really makes me wonder how all that played out. Did she voluntarily remove that from her hand? Did she maybe throw it at him in an argument? Did he take the wedding ring off of her after he killed her? He really wanted to emphasize the point that they are no longer together. They are no longer married. He wanted to separate himself from that situation. They do a lot of skipping around in this documentary. They go back to their wedding videos, and you can tell how much Shanann and her family welcomed Chris into their lives. The brother is crying during his speech. They absolutely welcomed him with open arms. As you'll see later, his family did not do the same for her. So then they hop back to the day that she's missing. Again, Chris is just over explaining what he's doing, when he did it. Well, then they are informed that the neighbor has security cameras. People have security cameras? They go to the neighbor's house. The neighbor has a view of Chris's driveway. If you watch Chris, like, his body language is all over the place. He's just moving back and forth. He's really jittery. Sunglasses are falling off.
Like, I've got issues.
What? He keeps staring at his phone. He does not want to look at that footage. He's shown backing his truck into his garage. Still, he's over explaining that. He has every right to back his truck into his garage. And he says, well, people have been stealing stuff.
The other week, when people were kind of stealing stuff out of, like, garages and stuff like that. There's someone I can see someone try to jimmy with a flathead screwdriver.
Chris leaves, goes back to his house, and now Mr. Officer and the neighbor get to have a little chit-chat. Immediately, the neighbor, armchair detective.
No.
I am gonna solve this.
Right.
He never loads things in and out of the garage like that. He's clearly up to no good.
You can ask them, he's normally quiet, looks at food. He never talks. So the fact that he's over here blabbing his mouth makes me kind of suspicious.
Yes, I love this guy. The officer is talking to Chris more, and I just want to point this out because this personally annoys me when people say things like this. Chris says, well, Nikki would know more of her friends because she's a woman. So the next day, the police officer is calling to get more information. I just love the question.
Okay, does she have any scars, marks, tattoos?
Oh, yeah, the 3 and 4-year-old, yeah, they have matching tattoo sleeves. The part of the documentary they absolutely could have cut out of all of this is the canvassing of the neighborhood. Talking to every single useless neighbor that knew absolutely nothing about it. Go and interview that old woman, and she's like, well, there was a steel gray truck, but don't ask me the maker model. Like, come on, Ida. I wouldn't know the maker model either. Like, we're not entertaining conspiracy theories here. We already know who killed the family. By this time, he's getting interviewed by the local news. He is wearing an ugly North Carolina Tar Heels t-shirt because apparently he has an entire wardrobe filled with them. The interviewer's like, sorry to ask, but did you have an argument at all? And Chris is like, Well, it wasn't like an argument. It was like an emotional conversation. And again, he's doing his weird bippity boppiting. He's his nervous grin. And it's just off. Shanann and the girls are going to North Carolina for 5 weeks. Chris doesn't seem to have a lot of interest in going. He says he has to work. I don't know. He might have to work. I don't know. You would think Chris would want to go because he's obsessed with that state and he only buys t-shirts from there. Saw her family, but she also went and saw Chris's family without Chris. And then there's Chris's mother. Cindy's a piece of work. There's this whole ice cream fiasco, and Cece is allergic to some kind of nuts, pistachios. It's the kids' ice cream with all of the things that could kill Cece in it. So Shanann walks in the room and is understandably upset. They get into some kind of argument. I would have loved to overhear that conversation. I was so angry about this that she did not go to Cece's birthday party. Grandma was a no-show. Faux show. Shouldn't say things like that. Now, this is not the first time that Grandma did not show up to an important event. She also did not show up to their wedding. That's right. Like, oh my God, Nana, the wedding is not about you. Okay, Cece's birthday is not about you. It felt like Shanann was taking him away from their family, moving to Colorado. This man is in his 30s. Calm down. I definitely think that Shanann had some self-worth issues. There's a lot of comments of like, oh, he's such a great guy to put up with me over the years. Absolutely sings his praises, makes it sound like she's the problem and like he's just Mr. Wonderful. August 15th, they break out the polygraph. He is wearing, you'll never guess it, another North Carolina Tar Heels shirt. I don't know who this girl is, but she is fantastic. She gives him so much shade.
The coolest thing about this is right now, there's only one person in this room that knows what the truth is. In about 5 minutes, there's going to be 2 of us.
Isn't that the coolest? Like, you'd have to be pretty stupid to sit there and be taking this test. Like, you would have to be so stupid. No, I mean like so super mega. And then she comes back into the room to give him the results and he's like, guess what, Chris, you're stupid and you failed. Like, she is so good at this. She is so smart. One of the investigators says to him, look, I want to talk about the fact that there are 2 Chris's. Well, then Chris is like, oh crap, they know. Only then that he offers it and he actually admits to cheating. So then they find out about the girlfriend, Nicole Kessinger. They met at work in June. He told Nicole that he was separated from his wife. And then they went on this like weird sand surfing date. Is that a thing? Like, who does that? That sounds terrible. They go to the bar, the Lazy Dog. Very appropriate, I think. All Shanann has to do is pull up her bank account and she can see the charges. Also, they have a security system at their house and it lets her know when the doors open and close. So she knows exactly what time that he gets home. Like, he's not even trying. And the investigator says, like, why aren't you crying?
I mean, you're crying with your wife that you're leaving her.
Yeah.
But you don't cry that your 2 little baby girls.
I'm hoping they're still around. I'm hoping they're still somewhere.
You don't have them right now. You're not reading stories to them at night. You're not giving them midnight snacks.
I love those girls.
Then show us that.
Like, oh God, poor choice of words. And then she says, did Shanann do something to them? At first I thought that was a huge mistake for her to say that because It's giving him an out. I'll just put the blame on her because she's not here to defend herself. But then I realized that no, it's super, super smart. She knew she wasn't getting anywhere by just saying, like, come clean, tell the truth. She's trying to approach the questioning in a different way. If he starts saying that, oh, well, Shanann did this stuff, it places the blame on someone else, and then he will be more forthcoming with the details. Either way, he'll end up incriminating himself, is the strategy. They are closing in on him, and he feels it. So then Ronnie comes in.
Can I talk to my dad or something?
Can I see my dad, the inventor of toaster strudels? Can I see my pop? Can I do that? He flew all the way across the country to confirm what he's probably suspected my entire life. Like, what is with all the back rubs? Is there like a special going on? Like,
Have as much time you need, okay? Sure. You can leave us in there.
Okay.
We can help you get out of the cold.
oh, for a limited time only, you can have a complimentary back rub for every hasty confession. It's like the only time he cries is when he's telling them where the bodies are, and he knows he's done. He's toast. He knows he's caught. One of the most upsetting things about this case is that he tried to blame her. He tried to say that she was responsible, that she killed their daughters, and he, in a blind rage, he killed her. What a coward. Shanann's family, they're going through this extreme, unbelievable loss, and yet people are bullying them left and right. They're getting all these questions from the media, they're getting trolled online. It's just sad that her father had to make a public statement telling people to back off and leave their family alone. And then, this is just such a horrible detail. He put his wife in the back seat of the truck, and then he put his daughters, who are still alive, in the seats. So they're near their dead mother, and they're asking him, what is wrong with mommy? My overall thoughts about this documentary, I thought it was very well done. Is it on par with like The Jinx or Making a Murderer? No, it's not quite as much of a deep dive as I wanted it to be. It was mostly just a lot of like body cam footage and things that have already been covered in other, network specials or on YouTube. I wanted there to be a lot more like personal interviews and backstories on Chris and Shanann, Shanann's previous marriage, and what was with that weird relationship presentation that Chris was doing. Like, they just threw that in there without any context. Like, what was that for? I think the police department did an absolutely phenomenal job. They took it seriously from the beginning, didn't waste any time, did a ton of canvassing, as we saw. The investigators, this is how you get a confession out of someone. Sorry, Brendan Dassey. His texting responses, this is one of the reasons why someone like this is so terrifying, because we have all dated a version of this guy. It's just classic gaslighting. He's clearly checked out, just doing the absolute bare minimum. Just trying to tell her what she wants to hear. He says one thing, does another, and nothing adds up. It seems like a lot of men use this technique, and then he's insisting that nothing is wrong, and it's just making her feel more and more like she is crazy, and that's the goal. The woman gets labeled as crazy because she is at her wit's end. Just tell how exhausted she was in her text messages, because she did absolutely everything in her power to save that marriage. There's this quote, "A man's worst fear is to be laughed at, but a woman's worst fear is that he will kill her." that seems a little off. You see all the home videos and like, he seemed like a good dad. You know, his kids loved him. He was very natural with his kids, you know, playing with them, doing, you know, their hair, and, you know, he seemed like he was at least doing a good job with them. You know, I would be really interested to hear Laura Richards' opinion on this. If you don't know Laura Richards, she is an investigator. She has the podcast Real Crime Profile, but she specializes in family annihilators and trying to figure out the signs of a family annihilator and what the warning signs are, and, you know, how we can potentially stop them. I wish that there was more awareness about this kind of things. There's gotta be specific telling signs that we can all be taught to be able to spot this type of person in our own lives. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. All of my life has prepared me for this moment. So they've been, my stupidity has a first name, and it is Chris. I have been waiting for a moment like this my entire life. She specializes with little, what is it? I've been training my whole life for this. I just want to see my pop. Okay, like, this guy has been waiting his entire life to solve a crime, and we are there with him.